before I can start, well, quite frankly, I was not sure how I can begin my speech. I was like, well, should I start off by giving my life story about this young African who now seems to have made it now that, well, he's in Germany and giving a TED Talk? Or do I talk about my life credentials as if I'm laying out my CV? I saw that there's KPMG here, so this would be a great platform for me to lay my CV. But I quickly remembered the words of one of my great friends. Now, she would always say, start from the beginning. The beginning is always good. And make sure you don't leave anything behind. Now, mind you, she would always talk about gossiping, and she wanted all the scoop. So it was good for her that I had to start from the beginning and leave out any details. But one thing that I also remembered is, well, we're not here to gossip, and we don't have all day, as much as I would love that. About a month ago, I was back in Botswana. I go there every summer. Botswana is where I'm from. For people that don't know where that is, there's South Africa, where you had your 2010 FIFA World Cup. Then right on top of that is Botswana. And, I always give motivational talks when I'm back in Botswana. I go back to check my friends, my family, of course, my project. And I remember this one time, I was asked to give a motivational talk at my former high school. And the motivational talk was partly inspired by the fact that it was a prize-giving ceremony. And I was asked to talk about rewarding quality performance, a key to a sustainable human resource. Now, of course, I knew, given the occasion, what they would be asking from me. They would want me to talk about academics. They want me to talk about inspiring, children and students alike, and really talking about, focus on your books, get good grades, education is the key to success, the normal blah, blah, blah. But what I really wanted to say was something fundamentally different. So here I am. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm drafting my speech. And I'm just so into it. I'm just so passionate about it. And, I decide that, okay, I'm going to share the little that I wrote with my partner. Now, here goes. I absolutely love this speech. I love it. But he keeps staring at me funny. I was like, okay, but? He's like, but? I was like, oh, God. See, I knew something was up. He's like, but I don't think this is the right time or place for that. You want to inspire students, not necessarily discourage them. Now, mind you, at this time, I'm just absolutely shattered. I'm thinking, oh, God damn it, he's right. He's always right. But I was like, I really wanted to talk about this. Then luckily, I got the invite for the TED Talk. I was like, oh my God, yes. Such a perfect opportunity for me to do that. And what I really wanted to talk about was convey a narrative, was partly inspired by my best friend, brother, mentor, turned mentee, and now mentor again. We have such a weird relationship. He spoke of the type A, type B, type C students. And these are the students that, strangely enough, he saw, in me. This type A student was the student or the Kaene that enjoyed the assortment of alcohol a lot. He would always find, time to enjoy the simple pleasures of life, but more so, he lacked emotional intelligence. I lived in a single room, in one of Botswana's poorest neighborhood in the capital city after my parents separated. And at the time, that's all I knew. I knew that, for me to avoid my stress, my pain, I would drink alcohol. I would have a pint, a German pint. We didn't have it. But again, I lacked the right avenues. Then I found the type B student. The Kaene that enjoyed reading books, the bookworm. For I believe that academic excellence was my guarantor to success in life. And that, in a sense, that's how we're socialized. We're socialized to think that if you get your good grades, you get to a university, a local university, life is great, you graduate, you get a job. And I must tell you, it actually did work out for me quite well. From that single room, which I used to call my 4-in-1, my bedroom, my living room, my bathroom, and my kitchen, I wrote my GCSEs. And in the middle of my GCSEs, my parents finalized that divorce. From that 4-in-1, I actually got the second best grades in my GCSEs in the whole country. And, at the time, well, I was expecting claps, but it's okay. But, well, I'm partly selling my CV, so. But at the time, I was worried. I was like, oh my God, why was I worried? The Botswana Examination Council, they wanted to interview me. They wanted to see where, I grew up. I was like, well, it's great, I'm gonna be on TV. But the problem is, where are they going to interview me? I was like, no, not that one room. And I realized that I have an opportunity. I can either contact my mom and ask for a distant aunt who I have no idea where she stays, but I'm told she's rich, and I've never been to her house. And I can go there, and then they can bring the TV there. Or I actually have a platform to showcase that we are not defined by our circumstances, but rather how we overcome them. And how, in a sense, we do that is to showcase that we can be proud of where we grew up, that you can be born in a family of poverty, but that does not mean that at the end of the day, that's how your life is going to be. So they came, they were surprised. The cameraman was like, I think that's the number one. See, I knew why he would say that. Well, it's because, look, I was studying. But I knew that the type B student worked great. It worked great because that's how I was raised. However, when I got the Botswana Top Achiever Scholarship Program, which is an initiative that gives high-achieving students the platform to go abroad and further their studies anywhere in the world they choose, to do from foundation to PhD, I quickly learned of the type C student, the chaser. So I came to the United Kingdom in 2012, and I went to the best independent sixth form. But when I got there, see, I already had a working formula. I knew that, okay, hard work, determination equals academic excellence equals getting a good job. But the executive director at the time, now she would always say, numbers don't lie, but you need to do more. I'm like, do more? Like, is she serious? Like, I'm out here, busting trying to get the good grades, and now she's telling me I need to do more. But what I realized is, one thing that's fundamentally different about getting to the best universities, well, actually any university in the first world country, is that as much as you can get the grades, that's okay, but that's not enough. You needed to do something more. You needed to have work experience. You needed to volunteer, to do your social responsibilities. You needed to read books outside the curriculum. Now, I loved the system. I loved chasing after opportunities that were not necessarily, available to me. And it's because of that system that I actually broke a couple of Botswana histories. Again, I'm selling my CV. I became the youngest male Motswana. Motswana is a citizen of Botswana, obviously. The youngest male Motswana at the age of 18 to have work placement at the United Nations in Switzerland. And at the same time, I represented my country in over 10 different countries when I was still 18 as a youth delegate. Now, to some, well, if you're in the UK, it's not necessarily a big deal. But in Botswana, it's a great deal because they didn't have that system. And I realized that, well, now this is the time to really change the narrative of academic excellence. That gone are the times when just focusing on your grades actually guaranteed you a job. Why am I saying that? It's because when I got to university, I realized that the system hasn't necessarily changed. We work so hard to get into university, but once we get to university, we strive to only get either a first, a distinction, or a 2-1. We forget other life skills. And what happens is, you see the incessant growth of youth unemployment, from where you also find graduates unemployed. Reason being is, we're all the same on paper. One thing I truly love and respect about Germany is their, perhaps celebration of vocational training institutions. They have this amazing, dual vocational training program where they mix theory and practice, something which is starkly missing from Botswana or other sub-Saharan countries. Now you wonder why Germany is such an economic powerhouse. You wonder why Germany enjoys comparative advantage in sectors such as manufacturing. Because they know that you also have different talents, you have different skills, that it's not every single person who aspires to be a lawyer, an engineer, or a doctor. We need to nurture and celebrate talents in all their different forms. Now, in Botswana, I've actually started an initiative of taking my first step towards really ensuring that we need to change the narrative of academic excellence. What did I do? I started my organization, Inspired Horizons, and what it does is it tries to change the narrative of academic excellence through channeling and actually providing opportunities that are fundamentally lacking in the education system. We've noticed that we have challenged with financial illiteracy. We lack entrepreneurial skills. We lack mentor initiatives. We also lack things like career coaching, business mentoring, and these are initiatives that are missing in the education system. What we want to do is we want to implement them within the core curriculum. We want to showcase that if you are a high achiever, then all these things, all these great, life skills, you needed to have developed them as well to fully become a well-rounded individual. And a well-rounded individual is a passionate leader. A leader who does not only strive to be successful in their community, but one who strives to be valuable to their community. Now, I am Kaene Disepo. It's a very difficult name to realize. It's Kaene. And I'm out here as a young 23-year-old from a small village in the north of Botswana and also the central of Botswana, raised by a former, a retired military soldier and a teacher, and in Germany, telling you that we need to do more. Gone are the days when graduating guaranteed a job. I just graduated at the London School of Economics in Bachelor of Sciences, International Relations. And I graduated having been recognized as the second best black student in the UK, a rare rising star. Not only that, but I also got recognized as the young future leader in Britain of African and Caribbean descent, 2016-2017. What that meant is I realized that for us to succeed in life, getting the grades is not enough. Let's do more. Let's think better. Let's be great. Rewarding quality performance is not just about academics. Academic excellence is not just about grades. Let's embrace the C student, the chaser. Thank you so much for having me.